tell you all a true story that's actually going to sound a little bit like a fairy tale. Years ago, in a small city, there was this beautiful place where the community always gathered. Tens of thousands of people, and everybody was welcome there. It was the place it is that people went to find out what was going on in their town and with one another. But even though this place meant so much to so many people, something was wrong with it. People were fighting with each other constantly. They were calling each other terrible names. They were arguing all the time, and the leader in charge, she wasn't doing anything about it. If you disagreed with her, she would just kick you out forever. Then, a few brave souls, they banded together. They removed the leader so that people could govern themselves. But as soon as they finished celebrating, they realized that they actually didn't know how to govern the place to make it better. This place, it actually wasn't a town square. It's a Facebook group in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Tens of thousands of members, people constantly trying to apply, spamming the group with ads, arguing about everything from the local potholes to the presidential election. Keeping this group healthy was going to take skilled moderation and hours of time every week. Enter Johnny, a chef, a single father, an aspiring comedian, and also the hero of this fairy tale. He mostly used Facebook to chat about food and hiking with his miniature dogs. He grew up in Santa Fe and deeply loved his city. He'd been moderating some other groups and was pretty good at it. He woke up one morning and saw that he was invited to moderate the Santa Fe group. So he rolled up his sleeves and he got to work. He set a positive tone. He muted the disrespectful comments. He put a lid on those spammy, self-promotional posts. He made clear and fair rules and enforced them gently. This is not glamorous work, but it made a huge difference. Over time, this group became a lot happier and a lot healthier. And today, 55,000 Santa Feans are members of this group, relying on it to figure out what's happening in their city and support one another. 55,000, that is half of Santa Fe's population. Now you may be thinking, who cares? It's just a Facebook group. The thing is that Santa Fe is not unique. As local media disappears all over the world, these online forums are increasingly the places it is that we get our information. In fact, Pew Research recently came out with this study that demonstrates that online forums and groups are actually one of the main ways we're getting our information, and 50% of American adults are getting their news this way. These online forums, they also fill in for the civic spaces and institutions that used to hold our communities together. Things like Rotary clubs, youth groups, faith communities, unions, veterans organizations. These groups have been disappearing, and with them, so has our social trust. Well, our trust in one another. Only about a quarter of Americans believe that others can be trusted. I'm going to actually say that again. 1 out of the 4 of us believe that other Americans can be trusted. And we are trying to build a more functional democracy. That is just not happening until these numbers go up. Thinking back to that Santa Fe group, we actually see that these digital spaces are places where this social trust can be built. They're places it is where people help one another, they offer recommendations, they trade things, they solve their community's problems together. And it's people like Johnny who are the real life heroes and guardians of these spaces. And it's really important to me that we understand this. Not anybody can step into this role. It requires a person with community building skills, who cares about their group and their neighbors, who wants things to be run more democratically, and is available to volunteer. We at New Public, we call these people community stewards. But here's the problem. Even though they do some of the most critical, valuable, and beautiful work, both on and off the internet, they remain unseen, unacknowledged, and unrecognized. They're putting in dozens of hours each week so that we have healthy and helpful spaces to be in, and they're not compensated or even barely recognized. Moderating is really, really hard work, and there's no one there to help you. In too many cases, the moderator actually does burn out, or the group does actually decay into toxic chaos. But given how valuable these spaces are to our communities and our democracies, why are they set up to be so fragile? Digital groups all over this world have spread on platforms like Facebook, Reddit, Nextdoor. But these large Silicon Valley companies are not going to be the ones to invest in stewardship. These online forums aren't where they're making the big dollars. And investing in better conversation on their platforms certainly isn't either. How do I know? I was there. I worked at Facebook for 7 years, establishing and leading the team that worked with group admins all over the world. I was doing everything I could in all the meeting rooms it is that I found myself to try to get these tools over the finish line. Like I am over here, bringing in these group admins to influence Chris Cox, Mark's number 2. I failed. The incentive structures were just stacked up against me. But we don't have to accept this failure. Large Silicon Valley companies aren't going to be the ones to show up to solve this problem. Other approaches to online groups are possible, and that's exactly why Eli and I set up New Public. We've studied mission-driven public service platforms like Front Porch Forum, which is a network of online groups which exists in every single town in Vermont, and surveyed 13,000 of their users. Through hands-on, human-centered moderation and a business model that puts people over profits, Front Porch Forum has cracked the code. Different choices in platform design and platform and governance can, in fact, lead to much better positive outcomes in the communities. What I actually found most interesting about our research with them was not only that the spaces are healthy online, but that, in fact, people said that they regularly contributed in their neighborhoods because of what they saw online. And so I actually want to do a little poll here. Be honest. I need you to be honest. How many of you have attended a public meeting in the last 3 months? Okay. So on Front Porch Forum, 61% of people have. How many of you have talked to your direct local neighbor about a local issue? On Front Porch Forum, 53% of people have. But if we want to build new civic institutions for the 21st century, like Front Porch Forum, we need to invest in creating, supporting, and resourcing the right people, the right practices, and the right platforms. First, let's start with the people. What makes the Santa Fe story a fairy tale is the convenient appearance of a Prince Charming. They found Johnny, who's a natural moderator, deeply cares about his city, and available to volunteer. And they found him just in time to save the group from being deleted. But not all of these groups get this fairy tale ending, because not all of them have a Johnny. But they could, and that is up to us. We can make this happen. Let's support the thousands of Johnnies out there and invest in training and supporting the thousands more. At New Public, we're bringing these people together, including Johnny in Santa Fe, to talk as peers, share strategies, and support one another. We believe that the answers to healthier social spaces online is grounded here, in community with people like Johnny. Let's learn about the practices they use and understand how to make their jobs easier. For example, we can remix the content in their groups and surface the things it is that they want people to see, as opposed to the things it is that the algorithms and advertisers are making us see. New generative AI tools may be helpful here, but only if they're used to support and empower these community stewards, not replace them. And we'll also need better platforms. All over the world, we need options like Vermont's Front Porch Forum that are grounded in public-spirited values and a deep understanding of what it takes for a community to thrive. We'll need the help of engineers, designers, entrepreneurs, writers, thinkers, all of you to make this happen. And while I don't think it's going to be easy, I actually don't think it's going to be that hard either. And I really believe that if we all work together on this, we have a decent shot of living our own happily ever after.